PW Hustle Networks present PWR at the Movies. Join the Professor, Tommy Wonder, and JB as they discuss the greatest pro wrestling moments in movie history.
We got a private gig, and they want you.
Who the fuck wants a private gig in an empty prison? As of tomorrow, you've bought yourself a franchise for one more night. Game over. Fatality. It's when I'm proud. You're not fulfilling. Never will restore. Your life is so and more. We come for trauma down. Attack with no remorse. Justify. You will hope you die. Feel you like it. This is fucking ridiculous.
What is going on there, Reflection Knights? What is going on there to the big Vitoites, the PWCites, the Haminites, like I always say, the Israelites, the I-rights, the low-rights, the mid-rights, the left-rights, the right-rights, all the ites out there in the world, in the universe, in the metaverse, in the Twitterverse. Well, Elon, what's up to the Elon Muskites out there? You know, the new owner of Twitter. I know a lot of liberals are now running. They're scared. But the professor's not scared because I've been independently owned. Nobody owns me. The left don't own me. The right don't own me. I am an independent thinker. And I am just the person that Elon Musk wants on his Twitter. Just like my cohort in crime. He's the independent thinker that Elon Musk wants on his Twitter. We're not going anywhere. So if you want me on, if you want to debate the professor, you already know my Twitter. PW Hustle PROF. You can come at me. And I will take you down. And TW will give his Twitter handle, and he will take you down and not be afraid to be banned, shadow banned, metaverse banned. He won't be suspended anymore. He is jumping for joy. But before we do that, I must introduce myself because I'm always banned like that. I'm always I have this vanity complex. I'm going to hell. I already know that, but I don't care because as long as I introduce myself every week first, I feel good. I feel so glorious. And by the way, I am the glorious one. I am the magnanimous one. I am the stupendous one. The only objective man in the IWC, YWC. The only objective man in the metaverse. The only objective man in the Twitterverse. The only objective man in this Podbean punditry. The Professor Chubba Cruz, welcoming you to the Pro Wrasslin Reflection podcast here at the PWR Networks.podbean.com. Or the PWR podcast, as, you know, all you young hipsters know it as. But I'm not here alone. I'm here with my cohort in crime. I'm here with my brother from another mother. I am here with the liberal conservative, the conservative liberal, Dr. Freakenstein, the man with the iron stomach, dumb and dumb duel and an idiot's own, the Tommy Wonder, who is jumping for joy that Elon Musk is the new owner of Twitter, because he's got a hit list of all you motherfuckers on Twitter. He's going after you. He wasn't afraid of being shadow banned. He wasn't afraid to be suspended. But he's not afraid anymore because he's got a hit list. Tell him, TW, you got a hit list a mile long.
I don't really necessarily need a hit list. I've been blocked by Alec Baldwin, by Richard Marks, by Daisy Fuentes, which makes Richard Marks Richard Fuentes. Couple of soft, wrestling fans have blocked me as well. But I find it comical because 2 years ago, this man was touted as the greatest man alive because he made the electric car, and now he's a villain because he likes free speech. It's hilarious to me that Twitter, my hate for Twitter is well known. You know it. I call it the cesspool of humanity. And people think because Elon Musk bought it, which, by the way, it's not a done deal. The shareholders have to say yes, and they'd be stupid not to because they're getting 38% higher value than what it's worth if they say yes. So they'd be turning down money. This guy is basically, the world is saying he's going to turn it into what it already is. It already is. What? No, they said he's gonna let misinformation and hold back other people, blah blah blah. Basically, they're saying he's a conservative and he's gonna do to liberals what liberals are already doing to conservatives on Twitter, what they've done to James Woods, what they did to President Trump. During the election, if you tweeted out anything about Hunter Biden, they didn't let you tweet it. They said it was misinformation, yet here we are 2 years later, and even more has come out, and it's not as misinformation, and it is tied to Joe Biden. Now I'm going to get our show shadow banned. So it's just hilarious to me that they're afraid that Twitter is going to become what it already is and what he's trying to undo. He's going to let anybody tweet anything as long as it's not harmful. And harmful is much different than hurting your feelings. Harmful means, they said that President Trump incited riot by saying, let's show him how to protest peacefully. That's inciting a riot. But we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about the violence that's going to happen when you and I finally meet in person from you making me watch this damn movie that
wait. Hold on. Hold your train of thought. Number one, I'm not afraid of being shadow banned on this platform because there's only 12 viewers, and that's the tubular 12. But we always call them the Magnificent Seven. So we don't have that fan base, that millions and millions of fan base, even though I can lie right now and say there's millions of Reflectionites out there in America, in Africa, in Canada, in Mexico, in the Honduras, in China. China, you ain't doing nothing, China. You're being locked down, so you should listen to the Pro Wrasslin Reflection podcast, but neither here nor there. But that's number one. Number two, yes, Reflectionites, we are going back to the movies. And you know what? This was not the plan A of picking movies. I will say this. We were trying to look for one that starred Bret Hart that came out just a couple of years ago. And even though it doesn't follow the rule of throwbacks, TW, you know that, I thought it was apropos to at least try. But I couldn't find the links to do it, and I'm not paying for anything. But
it was nowhere to pay for it either.
I know, that's the problem. But anyway, as a plan B, I figured I heard about this movie all the time. I've never watched this movie, Reflectionites, and this is the God's honest truth. So we are doing Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Wow, that came out in 2013, and it was made by Tromaville. You know, the Toxic Avenger TW of Tromaville fame. But anyway, before we even get into the PWR at the movies episode here at the PWR Social Networks at piledriver.com, TW, can you indulge me for at least 2 minutes? Because it will be a quick diatribe.
I can.
All right. First and foremost, on this platform for the Magnificent 7, the Elite 8, the Naughty 9, the Terrific 10, the Essential 11, the Tubular 12. You know who you are. I don't have to shout you out. You already know it by heart. But you know this. I made a vow to all you that I was never going to do a movie, a PWR at the movies that had Hulk Hogan in it. And I've kept my promise, haven't I, Reflectionites? And TW has been happy that I've been keeping that promise. But need that I say that, I want to at least give a public apology to Hulk Hogan. After watching this movie, after watching Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, you Reflectionites owe Hulk Hogan a huge apology. You should get down on your knees and join the Kiss My Ass Club because Hulk Hogan has produced better movies than this garbage that I had to watch called Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. That's all I had to say. TW, agree, disagree, or have a different take on that?
Oh, it's funny you say that because at some point watching this garbage, I thought to myself, A, Hogan never made anything this bad. B, I thought I could have said that about Piper, but no more. And C, holy shit, can you imagine if The Rock, Austin, or John Cena, or Roman Reigns for that matter, made any, or Randy Orton, 20 years of Randy. If any of them would have made this movie, they'd be wrestling like Ric Flair. They'd be still trying to get booked because they would never make another movie in Hollywood. This is bad. This is the thing I thought. Like, if I say nothing else, Reflectionites, I say to you, we watch this movie so you don't have to. There is absolutely nothing that should justify you ever watching this. Not that it's free on Tubi, not that it's free if you have a Prime account. It is absolutely unwatchable. I'm not surprised it was on Tubi. I was actually scared when you told me that's where I could watch it. I was like, oh, it's on Amazon too? All right, let's do it.
At least you got it on Prime and you had it commercial free. That's all that matters. So at least you can run through this hot garbage. But the funny thing is, Reflectionites and TW, this movie is supposed to at least, you know, even if you don't watch it, TW, it has two of my favorite things. It has professional wrestling or professional wrestlers, and it's a movie about zombies. So the formula is already there for a zombie apocalypse. A formula is already there for the horror, you know, aspect of a zombie movie, TW. What are you getting rid of the documents? Did Billy Red Valentine give you the documents to shred?
By the way, you're frozen.
Of course I'm always frozen, as long as people can hear me.
Are you frozen on your screen?
Nope, I'm actually looking good, feeling good, as long as you can hear me.
We're recording on yours, so it doesn't matter about mine.
What is my face looking like with it frozen?
You're doing this, but like you're scratching your head looking the other way. You've been frozen for a minute.
That is a beautiful thing. And Big Ray, you know, sorry about me being frozen for the Reflectionist. TN Couponer, if you see this on YouTube, whenever it gets on there, sorry that I'm frozen. But of course, I look good.
No, it's recording on your end. It should be recording what you're seeing.
Of course, but either way, I'm not frozen on my end. Then
you should be good.
I should be good. But anyway, neither here nor there. But again, TW, pro wrestling and zombies. It's supposed to be a tag team combination like Demolition with the Road Warriors. It's supposed to be a win-win for the professor. This took two aspects of something I love and just kind of like took it away from me. TW, I felt so bad. I was like, I can't even admit that I'm a wrestling fan watching this. I can't even admit I love Walking Dead, and I watch this garbage. I've watched bad zombie movies. TW, I know you've watched bad zombie movies. So
yes,
I have to say, again, before we even get into the plot and who's in it, Reflectionites, and bear with us. This is going to be a quick show, so we're trying to stretch it out a little bit here. But TW, I remember a bad zombie movie called Demons from the 80s. That's how bad it was. I remember Night of the Demons, hokey stuff, but it was enjoyable that I could watch. What say you, TW, in comparison? Like, you've seen hokey horror movies that you might watch again. This, I guarantee,
Chucky.
Reflectionites, Chucky or whatever. This, I guarantee, TW, you will never watch this again because I will never watch it again.
This almost got unwatched. This almost got stopped. Mm-hmm. You said it to me yourself as well, that you almost turned it off and said, no, we ain't doing this. I watched most of it today, but I tried watching it last night, and it starts off. I got to say this. One of my buddies, indie wrestler who goes by the name of Jock Sampson, down in Ohio, West Virginia area. He's in the opening, and there's all the wrestlers in the ring or whatever, where the guy gets trips off the whole storyline. And I seen him, so I'm like, oh, dude, that's gonna be awesome if he's in this movie. I never saw him again, and I'm not even gonna reach out and ask him, hey man, was that you I saw in the ring? Because I don't want him to know I saw it, because he probably does. He's never told me about it, so he probably doesn't want anybody else to know. Or if he even doesn't even know he's there, because what it looks like when it starts off right away, it looks like someone's recording it with their cell phone in a locker room. B, it's the same quality as amateur porn. And all I thought is, this is going to be tits and ass. This is what we're going to see. And sadly, after an hour and a half, none of that happened. None. Not even. We saw some cleavage, but we did not see any nudity. One more reason for you guys listening to not watch this show. It's absolutely horrible. The acting is horrible.
Well, we'll get into that. But, with TW, this was funded partly through a successful Kickstarter program.
That makes absolutely every sense in the world to me. Through
private funds from 3 investors and several wrestlers in this movie. So franchise. Well, we're going to talk about the people in it. The franchise Shane Douglas stars in this movie, and we'll get into that. TW, I know you're ripping up a lot of stuff.
I'm almost done.
Oh, please, thank you. You're messing my train of thought.
I am done. I am.
We have the franchise Shane Douglas, ECW's franchise Shane Douglas. I wish he was Dean Douglas when he did this movie, but we got Roddy Piper in this movie. We got Kurt Angle in this movie, TW. We got Hacksaw Jim Duggan in this movie. We got Rebby Sky, or AKA Miss Rebby Hardy. We also got Stronger Than Death, Matt Hardy. And we got a bunch of other, no-name indie wrestlers. This was directed by Cody Knotts. And this was actually called Cody Knotts' Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies, but that's neither here nor there. That's a logistic formality, TW, but that's not important because actually Cody Knotts
he's the manager. He's the guy. He's barely
the promoter. He was the promoter in the beginning of the movie. But TW, before we even get into the plot and certain things within this movie, like I said, it's going to be a short show, but what say you about the cast of characters that you saw? Don't talk about what happened in the movies, but the funny thing of having wrestlers like Kurt Angle's a great example because this is 2013, 2014. Kurt Angle is already Mr. TNA. He's Impact Wrestling and all that stuff. Kurt Angle has a taste. He had a taste to do Hollywood stuff. He wanted to venture into that genre, if you will. Roddy Piper's already been there, done that since They Lived, and
he's not alive much longer after this, eh?
Yeah, I think Roddy Piper lived for another 2 years. God rest his soul. So when he died of a heart attack, but I want to talk about Kurt Angle first because I know that he had the itch in the 2010s. He wanted to do Hollywood. Remember we talked about Hulk Hogan and what you have to pick and all that stuff. Now we get in the wrestling business. Now you're in it and out of, you was in and out of it, so to speak. You did that. You delved back into it in the indie scenes here. And given the fact that this movie had that indie aspect because in the beginning was shot in a gymnasium or a high school, whatever the case may be, it looked like in front of 65 people because the bleachers were empty. I could see that. There was no denying the bleachers were empty. It wasn't a sold-out high school gymnasium. I felt sad that these wrestlers, they took the money. The check's cleared. But for someone like Kurt Angle who wanted to get into that crossover mainstream, this was not a good movie to pick. What say you, TW, about the cast of characters being casted for this movie?
More than likely, what I would think is, as far as the audience goes, that was probably an indie show. If Kurt Angle was actually there, I don't know if he was there in the beginning because it was Shane Douglas. But if Shane Douglas was there, there would probably have been a few hundred people there, especially in 2014. But they probably filmed this before they opened the doors or after the doors, after everyone left.
Right.
Because, you know, they're not going to film this during a show. You know what I mean? Because it would absolutely take cuts, recut. You know, like I always wonder that when they film wrestling stuff. Like I know from a couple of buddies of mine doing Axe commercial, they only have one side of the ring has fans on it, and then they take the computer and mirror image it and make it look like all four sides of the ring are you know, wrestling fans. But
yeah, the CGI effect that has fans everywhere.
But it's not a wrestling show, right? It looks like it in the commercial, but it's not. It's just a ring in a studio with some people that are there to pay to be there. So like kind of like Glow, when Glow started out, how the fans were either paid to be there or was free at your hotel if you stayed at the hotel. So you're really not exposing the business per se, which at this point, how much more can it be exposed? So I think they're recording that while guys are getting there and goofing off in the ring. That's kind of what it looked like to me. But here's the deal. If you're telling me Kurt Angle wanted to go to Hollywood, I'm telling you now I know why he didn't. Because if this is his, and I get it, he's green to that. He probably thinks, hey, if I do this, I'll have something to put on my film roll.
And I know he did another movie after this. He did one of the Sharknadoes. I remember that vividly.
And I think, wasn't he in one of the Expendables?
That
the last one? Like for a minute.
Maybe.
I know Austin was in one, and I want to say Angle, maybe I'm picturing him dressed as the Shield. That's what I'm thinking about. But
probably are.
I remember him just being in like military garb, but I thought it was a movie, but it could be very well that I'm thinking of the Shield. But yeah, but this is a case of somebody not giving him good direction, right? Like I think we all agree Hogan did not get good direction. Rock did. Cena little too late, but it seems like he's recovering from that because he's on, you know, he's in the Suicide Squad 2. He's got his own TV show that's a huge success. So I think, and he's been in Fast and the Furious and will be again, I hear. But so he's righted the ship, whereas The Rock only has Tooth Fairy and one other movie. I can't think of what it is. You always say it's the one with the little girls, his niece or whatever. But he's only got one or two that are duds, but they're Disney, so they're okay to be duds. You know what I mean? If you're in this, you're better off not telling anybody you're in it, not that you were.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But, you know, like I said, Kurt Angle had that taste, the affinity taste to go Hollywood. Of course, you got franchise Shane Douglas, you know, Mr. Working at, I think he works at, he's a manager at Walmart or something about this time, and then does these indie programs here and there.
Who?
Of course, Shane Douglas, franchise Shane Douglas.
He manages Walmart?
Well, at the time in the 2010s, he was managing Walmart or something. I don't remember if it was Walmart or Kmart or whatever the case may be.
That's rough.
I ain't making. No, that's not rough.
I know.
That's not rough.
Let me
That's making
tell
money.
you why it's rough. Let me tell you why it's rough. I think I told you this before.
Mhm.
Once I started wrestling, and I started working at Art Van delivering furniture, I started every day praying that nobody recognized me in their house, because then the gig is up, right? Like someone's like, "Hey man, I watch you wrestle every month in Westland," you know, like, "No, that ain't me, you know, because your mystique is blown. To be Shane Douglas, and it's probably, I'm going to assume, in the Pittsburgh area that he's managing the Walmart.
Probably.
He's going to get recognized, and I think that would be a shot to my ego. However, I'm a very grateful person, so I might be grateful that I landed on my feet and got a management job at Walmart, because you're making more money as a manager than you are fucking scanning people like Mickey Rourke and The Wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, you got to pay the bills any way you can. And again,
Right.
he had a lot of injuries, and of course, you know, ECW folded, and, you know, he did
He didn't save his money.
He did the indie scenes, he did TNA, and then, well, I don't know if he didn't save. He probably had child support, you know, alimony. So that kind of like takes it away. You know, Ricky Morton's been paying alimony forever. So, you know, Got to feel the pinch, I'm with the men on this one, paying alimony sucks. But anyway, neither here nor there. But it's apropos we talk about Shane Douglas because this movie centers around the franchise Shane Douglas. And, within the indie scene, I guess you could say that franchise Shane Douglas is like Mickey Rourke. He is Randy the Ram. Everybody is paying to see franchise Shane Douglas. Now, we have the beginning where, like TW said, Reflectionites, that, you see some things, some action in the ring and some wrestlers that I never heard of and all. I remember there was a guy, wrestling in the ring, TW, called Thomas Rodman. And he looked like Dennis Rodman. So and
that was his real name.
And that was an indie wrestler that I never really, that I didn't know or didn't really care about. There was a guy that looked like Joey Mercury with the dreads.
Yeah, dreads.
But that wasn't Joey Mercury, but I knew who he was, but he looked like him, so neither here nor there. But
there was a guy who looked like the love child of Norman Smiley and Black John Cena. What's his name? Fred something.
Well, I get
the guy from Nexus, the gay guy, the openly gay guy, Fred something.
Oh, okay, I remember. He was in Crime Time or what? Not Crime Time, but millions and millions of dollars with Titus O'Neil.
Yes. What was his damn name? I love that guy. He's a Black John Cena. Looks just like him, but he's black.
He's in New Japan right now. I don't remember his real name. So, but again,
what was his name in wrestling?
I don't remember. That's how bad it is.
He came out for your people. He's an openly gay guy. What the hell?
Ain't my people. Ain't my people. That's your people's. And I got the Twitter receipts on TW. But anyway, neither here nor there. But we're focusing on the plot. Basically, it's all about the franchise Shane Douglas, TW. And, everything about this, it was trying to keep it kayfabe to a certain point. Within the character Shane Douglas, whatever you saw in the ring, TW, of Shane Douglas is actually what you saw within this movie. So the franchise Shane Douglas is waiting for his main event match against Brutaliser Billy. But there's a storyline, TW. I didn't know there was a storyline, but Brutaliser Billy is having...
Darren Young.
Okay, here we go. But Brutaliser Billy, TW, is having relations with Shane Douglas's valet / girlfriend, played by Taya Parker. So that's how the movie actually starts. Brutaliser Billy and Taya Parker are necking and making out in the locker rooms, and Shane Douglas looks like, he saw his wife cheat on it. It looked like an episode of Cheaters without the guy that's hosting Cheaters. Yeah. So what happens, Reflectionites? The main event happens between franchise Shane Douglas and Brutaliser Billy. That guy, Brutaliser Billy, looks like a smaller version of Tito Ortiz without the steroids. That's the way Brutaliser Billy. I'm trying to give a picture for you, Reflectionites, who haven't seen this movie. But, TW, what say you about this match between Shane Douglas and Brutaliser Billy to start off this movie, Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies? Because this has a correlation because of a certain spot in this match.
The finish. But here's the deal. They don't, all you see, wasn't it Billy who was with his girl? It was Shane that saw him.
Yeah, Shane saw, it was Taya Parker.
Right. So, that's the chick's a real name? She's a real wrestler?
I guess so.
So, when you see it, you just assume, he took his girl. But I don't realize that's, you know what I mean? Like, it's all implied. You don't even know what's going on. And then the finish, you think it's an accident, but then they're like, no, it's not. And you're like, okay, what's happening here? Like, there's so much plot loophole or plot holes in the plot. However,
of course there is. This is a Kickstarter movie.
You explained it way better now after having seen the whole movie because they inevitably talk about it. But the whole movie, Shane Douglas is made out to be the bad guy, but in reality, he'd be the good guy because it happened to him, not him. Until you just reminded me that it wasn't Douglas, and I thought Douglas was making out with her. And I realized, and especially the scene on the bus where she gets on his lap again, and he's like pushing her off, and I'm like, oh, by the way, just so you know how he did that and how he pushed her off of the the restaurant seat and all that. That stuff happens for real to rats, if you will, or the obvious girl wrestlers who are just trying to be rats that wrestle, right? Like, I'm not justifying it, but I'm telling you that shit happened a lot. Like, usually there wasn't 3 or 4 of them. There was 1 or 2 because either they were a ballet or there was 2 girls wrestling on the show. But most of them, if they had any kind of self-respect, they got treated that way. But the ones who came around who were blatantly rats, they got treated like that girl got treated.
She was being portrayed as a blatant rat. Ring ballet rat. She was supposedly Franchise's girlfriend, but was cheating on him in the locker room, in the same locker room. TW, I guess this is actually
that's Sonny.
To the heart.
That's Sonny.
Yeah, I guess Sonny did that a lot within the ECW locker rooms and the WWE locker rooms. And poor
Smoky Mountain.
And poor Chris Candido had to be the cuck. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But TW, the match goes on, but again, all the rules and the the gentleman's agreement, as you will, for professional wrestling goes out the window because of the finish. Explain the finish, and then I'll talk about the gentleman's agreement. Or you can talk about the gentleman's agreement. Don't kill each other. That's the gentleman's agreement.
Right. Let's get each other home safe.
But the match itself, the main event, Shane Douglas and Brutaliser Billy, was so bad on all levels. And, Hollywood can only do so much, Reflectionites. But Shane Douglas is Shane Douglas in 2014. He's older. He's slower. He's wrestling with his shirt on.
Fatter.
He never did that. He's fatter. Right. He never did that in the prime. In his UWF prime, he never wrestled with a shirt on like that. In his ECW prime, he didn't wrestle with a shirt on unless he was gaining weight. That's the problem, TW, number 1. So he's slower. Number 2, to agree to do that, TW, I find that kind of like, I don't know if it's hypocritical, TW, but why would you do a movie on that premise where you actually kill somebody? Explain that, TW, if you want to, or maybe I might be overthinking it, but I think Shane Douglas agreeing to do that, and the synopsis of the movie starting from him killing Brutaliser Billy in the ring with a pile driver. What say you?
Tombstone.
Or tombstone pile driver.
So doesn't this movie open with pro wrestling is the only place where you can openly kill somebody in the ring?
Yeah, there was a slogan that said that.
Yeah, it said professional wrestling is the only place where you can do this and that. And one of them was kill somebody in the ring. And I thought, the fuck you can? Like, you could make it look like an accident, like New Jack tried killing that dude, throwing him off the scaffold. I think he would have been acquitted if that guy died, because it would have been all hearsay. Like, yeah, he was mad at that guy. That doesn't mean he purposely threw him off a scaffold. Like, you could just say it was botched. And, I think that would be probably true. Like, you could, especially ECW, you probably could get away with accidentally killing somebody and not go to jail, because there'd be no way to prove it wasn't an accident. There's people to this day that still want to say Owen Hart was murdered,
right.
But the reality is it was
a tragic accident.
It was an accident. The clip didn't clip on because of his feathers, and the rest is history. And I'm bringing up Owen Hart, there's one thing I love telling this part of the story. Most people know it, but Owen Hart died because he saved the life of the referee and the ring announcer, because he yelled to them to move out of the way. And if they hadn't have moved out of the way, he would have landed on them instead of hitting his head on that turnbuckle. I mean, he probably would have been hurt like a sumbitch, but he would have probably killed one or both of those guys by landing on their head, right, with his full weight. But I think that's forgotten. And I think when we talk about Owen and the tragedy of it all, the last thing he did on this earth was save 2 other people, because if he doesn't tell them to move, they're at least hurt. You know what I mean? And right. that's how, I know you know how it happened. He's focusing on his feet landing in the ring and doesn't realize by looking down, he's putting his head right in front of the turnbuckle, and that's what folded him in half. But the fact that he told those 2 guys to move, I'll never forget that. That's hero shit. You know what I mean? Like, he should be worried about himself in that moment. Most of us would be. And he still thought to tell those guys to move. Knowing in wrestling, when you dive out of the ring, who breaks your fall? Other wrestlers. So imagine if he had that mentality. If it was AEW, that's what would have happened. They would have just said, "Fuck it, these guys will catch me."
Oh, okay, now you're making conjecture right there. We don't want to talk. We don't want to start that. But I get where you're going with it. But I'm saying there is tragic accidents like Owen Hart. There's tragic accidents like draws in the WWE ring. There's tragic accidents in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I forget. There's a couple of Japanese wrestlers who are paralyzed.
AJ broke 2 necks.
Right. So a lot of things happen that's tragic accidents, and they never meant it. But this movie itself, Shane Douglas, later on in the movie Reflectionites, wanted to kill Brutaliser Billy with the Tombstone piledriver. That, to me, again, TW, I guess I'm overthinking it. I understand you need a plot to start somewhere, and he hated Brutaliser Billy for cheating on, for his girlfriend cheating with him.
But doesn't hate her.
But he uses her for his own special purposes. We get that.
Well, now you know why he tossed her out of the seat and all that other stuff.
Right.
She's a rat.
But TW, as a wrestler, do you co-sign at least this synopsis that Shane Douglas agrees to this? Wouldn't you be like a little bit like, I don't know if I want to start a movie with that synopsis that I wanted to kill somebody in the ring?
I think AJ. No, you are overthinking it. I think, you know what I think? As soon as you said that, I think Shane is the perfect guy to do it because he's trying to further the New Jack trying to kill that guy. No, like that shit can happen, and I don't think it ever would. You just said it yourself. The agreement is let's get each other home. If Brett's not doing it to Sean and vice versa, there's nobody else doing it. Unless they already were some kind of fucking derelict who would never made it to the, there's a word that's lost in wrestling a lot, and that word is professional. And these guys are professionals. They're not going to kill each other. They're not going to intentionally hurt anybody. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's another reason besides the code, if you will. The other reason is, that could very easily happen to you. And I think I told the story on here before. I jokingly told Truth Martini when he asked me, "Hey, man, you hear what I say? You're going to catch me, right?" And I go, "Oh, I'm not listening. I'm going to move anyway." And then it looked like I moved. I didn't move. I turned, and he missed me because I was trying to make it not look like I was waiting for him to dive on me. You know how you're trying to play dumb to the fans, and then you turn into it? Well, when I turned into it, he went right in between me and Rico. So for years, everyone thought I hurt him on purpose and moved out of the way for him. And I never, ever did that. And I walked up to him that night. I apologized to him on the floor. I apologized to him in the back. And then I don't remember if it was him or somebody else said to me, I think it was him. He goes, "Bro, you said you were going to move." And I'm like, "I did?" I didn't even remember saying it. I was joking because he asked me the same thing twice. You know how you have somebody ask you a question, you answer it 100 times, and then when they ask you again, you go, "You fucking ask me again, I'm going to change my mind." That kind of thing. Yeah. But it was a rib. It was not serious. I did not move on purpose. So there's no way you're going to hurt somebody on purpose knowing karma's a motherfucker, and you might not even get hurt on purpose. You might get hurt accidentally because of you doing something on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, so it's going to get you. And to flat out say you killed somebody, but getting back to the storyline part, 5 seconds before he says, "I did it and I loved every second of it," he swore he didn't do it and said, "But you wiped out my whole family." Like, again, he's the baby face and he's going to kill him. And by the way, that guy looks like Chris Cross, whatever, Killer Cross, whatever the hell his name is. You know what I'm talking about?
He did not look like Christopher Cross because he would have an afro.
Christopher Cross is the guy that the song Video Killed the Radio Star. That guy won 2 Grammys before MTV and then was never heard from again once people saw that he looked like Barney from the Flintstones.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I am over. What was that? Respond to what?
My phone or my watch just made a noise. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I am overthinking the Reflection. I just think there's a code and all this stuff. But Shane Douglas kills Brutaliser Billy in the middle of the ring. And the death scene actually looks stupid because he is foaming at the mouth, looking like a wagging dog or whatever. His tongue hanging out and all this stuff. It looks so ridiculous. And Reflectionites, I actually laughed, Reflectionites, when I saw that. Say like, God damn, he can't even die good. And of course, Shane Douglas is playing it off. He's doing the Shawn Michaels from the Montreal Screwjob. "I'm clean on this. I'm clean. I didn't do anything. It was an accident." All that stuff. So, but Within the gymnasium, TW, there is somebody in attendance. Brutaliser Billy's brother. And I don't know his full name, but I just know his first name, Angus. Angus is pissed off, Reflectionites, that Brutaliser Billy is dead. Yes, I already know. He's having serious thoughts about it.
Terrible.
Of course. Again, people have their choices. They're free to think the way they are. But anyway, let me get back to this movie so we can get out of here. But anyway.
Yes.
Angus is pissed off, TW, that Brutaliser Billy is dead at the hands of the franchise Shane Douglas. So he concocts a master plan. But first, what he must do is sell his soul to the devil. I kid you not. This is the plot, Reflectionites. He sells his soul to the devil, and he sacrifices a young girl, eats her heart to become a full zombie. He's not like a Walking Dead zombie, Reflectionites. He's just the leader of the pack. But there must be the starting, the snowball starts with sacrificing this young nurse, TW, and she is the so-called leader of the horde of demon zombies that is under the control of Angus, TW. What say you about that plot? It has everything. It has rituals, it has a cult, and then you got Walking Dead, all rolled up into this one scene.
So there's so many things, Nick, from Walking Dead. The prison, for one. There's a scene where Shane, ironically his name is Shane, does a Shane move from Walking Dead where he tripped that guy so he could get away. He did that to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Spoiler alert. By the way, you talk about behind the scenes too much shit. Piper and Shane Douglas are speaking Carney in front of everybody when they're all signing autographs. That's when Piper first shows up on the camera. And then that girl walks by, whatever that chick what the fuck, whatever she was, she comes by and he goes, "You speak Carney?" And she says, "Do you speak English?" And Piper goes, "That was a rib. That was a rib." It was corny as shit. But here's my problem with the zombies.
The lines in this movie were terrible, but go ahead, TW.
Yeah. I think they were all ad-lib. That's why it was guerrilla movie making. But these zombies are so inconsistent because A, they're fast. At some point, they're chasing people. B, there's one that has a mohawk that's chasing the guy you call Mercury, Joey Mercury. And they're having, first he does it with Matt Hardy, then he does it with that guy, where they're having, a steel cage match where they're fighting on the side of the cage as one's trying to climb over the top. Then, when Mercury becomes a zombie, he's still the same guy doing flippity shit while he's a zombie. And then
the movie is so transparent, Reflectionites, because the zombies are not slow. Just like TW said, they are Day of the Dead. They're Dawn of the Dead from 2004. They run. They run after you. But not only do they run.
And they work wrestling matches. They do work punches.
They punch, they kick, they drop kick, they powerbomb. They do they do flying tackles. They do clotheslines. These are wrestling zombies. Don't get it twisted, Reflectionites. This is what makes this movie so stupid. Let me get back. No, I know you're going to go into that, but let me get back into the synopsis.
But Killer Cross is never a zombie. I think he's more of a warlock because
call it whatever you want.
The girls become zombies when he eats their heart, which somehow feeds his brother on the other side. It's just fucking terrible.
See, you're explaining it more than I can. But anyway, Angus has to eat the hearts of the girls, and the girls are the leading zombies. But that's part A of the synopsis, TW. Part B is Angus makes a deal with Shane Douglas's promoter, Cody Knotts, to have himself, Roddy Piper, Kurt Angle, Matt Hardy, and all these other wrestlers to perform in a vacant penitentiary in West Virginia. I just wanted to get the plot there. Shane Douglas is pissed because he hasn't been paid in weeks. And Cody Knotts says, if you do this one show, I'll give you whatever money I owe you plus interest. So, of course, Shane Douglas is a businessman. He's a greedy businessman. So again, like you said, TW, they speaking in carny terms. They're speaking in kayfabe terms. They're keeping in character. So now you're in the bus, and now you're in this bus. Well, at least, for an indie promotion, TW, whatever this indie promotion is, they got a good bus. It wasn't a school bus. It was a nice chartered air-conditioned bus. That's more than probably what you would have had in your indie days. You probably would have got the school bus.
I never got a bus, ever. I drove myself.
See, this is the best promotion. This is better than Tony Khan right now. He's Tony Khan before Tony Khan even, before AEW got into business. So now, TW, you can explain how these, this is another funny thing. After the girl becomes the lead zombie, think about it, in the span of, let's say, a month, TW, before all these wrestlers get into this vacant penitentiary, this girl ate the brains of about 100 people, including Shane Douglas's family, his sister, his brother, the nephew, and all that stuff, all in a matter of a month. There's no raid, there's no police reports, there's no news, there's no Action 4 news special reports about, missing people or horde of zombies or whatever the case may be. I find that very troubling. You talk about loopholes or plot holes. That's a big plot hole that you have a 6-month gap between 100 zombies that are being created by Angus and this nurse. And then they get to the penitentiary where they are controlled. Like you said, they are controlled. They're dormant, controlled zombies. They were waiting for this magical time where all the wrestlers get into the ring.
It's the Brood.
It turned into the Brood. And all the zombies merged to the ring. And then at first, it looked like Roddy Piper and Shane Douglas thought this was part of the show. They didn't even know they were dead. So they were acting. So they were starting to do the acting part of it. Right. And then now let's talk about one of the scenes that was really funny. Kurt Angle was the special guest. He comes in from the back, Reflectionites. And then one of the zombies takes his handler, or I think his brother, or whatever. And then Kurt Angle takes off his shirt, Reflectionites, I kid you not. He starts wrestling. He has a handicap wrestling match with 6 zombies. He handles it. He handles his own, TW. He does his angle slams. He does his ankle lock.
Ankle lock rips a leg off.
He rips a leg off, but then the numbers just catch up with Kurt Angle.
No, he was celebrating and he got clobbered from behind by Killer Cross with the cane.
Right, he got clobbered from behind, but then the numbers just catched up with him, and now he becomes the first wrestler zombie that comes into the ring and challenges Roddy Piper and challenges, and then the funny thing is you see him there in the ring, but then he disappears.
He's never seen from again.
He got his check, and then that's it. What say you, TW, about the Kurt Angle scene and then getting into the ring and then becoming the first wrestler zombie?
So Kurt Angle is in the ring after being eaten, and the only damage he has is scratches on his head. He's got no holes in his body. He's still in good shape. He's wrestling.
There were 6 zombies, so he had to get bitten every which way, Reflection. I'm just trying to give you a picture here.
And then later on, Shane Douglas is covered in blood. And then at the big finish scene, he's on the bridge and he has no blood on him at all. Never asked Piper to borrow the towel, nothing. He just like he took a shower. And then his poor little nephew, he breaks his neck with a sleeper. But Kurt Angle, it's funny. This movie's so bad that I forgot Kurt even made it to the ring. And then I was about to say, those guys never even got to meet Kurt. And then I realized, no, they had the match. And it was Angle and Piper first while...
There was no match. They just all hurt. They all got into the ring. And then
they paired off.
Down to him.
Shane Douglas was fighting with people in the ropes. And then Kurt Angle and Piper were going at it. And then Angle and Shane. And I just thought, what the fuck? That's the only point they're in the ring at all. It was almost like it was a booby trap. It wasn't a wrestling show.
Yeah. This was Angus's total revenge on. For some reason, he wanted to punish Piper, punish Kurt Angle, punish Jim Duggan. Why did Jim Duggan deserve this?
He didn't want to punish Angle. He said, "You're going to be the perfect recruit to join my horde." He called him his horde.
Yeah, Well,
he wanted Angle to be on his team. Like
Right.
that's what made me think he really was going to have a fucking audience and book a wrestling match. When he said, you're a member of my horde. So I thought, all right, we're getting Shane Douglas versus Kurt Angle. And the next thing you know, it's just Walking Dead hell. It's just everything breaks loose. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible.
It is totally terrible, but I'm trying to at least point out some funny scenes or some funny, ridiculous scenes as best as I can, Reflectionites. And here's one of the funny, ridiculous scenes. While the horde of zombies, Reflectionites, let's just say it's 100 against like 6. There are 2 people that are not in the ring, TW, and they are fucking in the back. That's Matt Hardy and Rebby Hardy. They don't know what the hell's going on because Matt Hardy is having the time of his life in the back.
And he's blown out high. He's Jeff Hardy high in this movie, too.
Well, that's allegedly. We don't know that. He's stronger than death. At this time, Matt Hardy's in ring. Matt Hardy's in TNA. He did his TNA run. He's doing his Ring of Honor run. So I remember seeing him here, the stronger than death stuff. And of course, he is having this relationship with Rebby Hardy. But it's kind of funny, TW. Again, 100 zombies yelling, screaming, all that stuff. And I know I do my thing. I know you do your thing in the bedroom, but if you hear some noises that you're not, accustomed to hearing, you actually will stop what you're doing, won't you? You'll be like, what is that?
Especially in an abandoned prison.
Yes.
On the floor.
Yes. But Matt Hardy, God bless him, and God bless his Johnson that he kept going. Nothing stopped him from getting what he needed. That's why Rebby Hardy is pregnant again as we speak. So that's how it started. It started with Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. I don't know what happened. From that moment on, that's when the horde of Hardy started growing. But anyway, neither here nor there. But while the zombies are trying to, eat all these wrestlers now, I guess, to abbreviate Reflectionize, because again, there's nothing really to talk about. The wrestlers are trying to escape within the maze of this penitentiary, TW. And like you said, every wrestler, whether it was the Joey Matthews wannabe, the Thomas Rodman guy, Matt Hardy got his punches in, it turned into a match against the zombie. So what, any matches against the zombie caught your eye of
No.
ridiculousness?
No. The cage match when they're fighting on the damn, and then what's his name fought everybody off until he finally could fight him no more, and then he became a heel zombie who was still doing his flippy stuff. The Joey Mercury looking guy.
Right. That's what it was. Joey Mercury, he did Young Bucks in the penitentiary. He was flying off the top of the cage. He was flying off the top of the ring. He flew off the top of the stage. He did some flips here and there and all that stuff. There's a poignant moment, TW, though, that during this movie, you even said it a little bit earlier on, that Shane Douglas turned into the ultimate heel. You felt sympathy for him because he was cheated on. He didn't cheat on nobody. But as this movie progressed, he turned on Hacksaw Jim. And the one I want to talk about is turning on Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He left them to die against the horde of zombies. And when Roddy Piper escapes back into the same room, he sees Jim Duggan biting on a hand, and Roddy Piper has to kill his friend.
Put him down.
It was a poignant scene.
Which was another stupid part of this movie. It was an attempt to have some kind of wholesomeness, right? Some heart. But Piper was just with that chick who basically they didn't know where the fuck they were going. But without even telling her, time out, I got something I got to do. He goes back to that room that Duggan's in, looks around, puts him down, and then leaves the room like he's going back to the girl. That was the reason he went to the room. When if he would have went out the other door, you would have thought, oh, he bumped into him while he was walking. and then I got to ask you, whose fucking arm is he eating? He was in there alone getting eaten by zombies. How the hell's he end up with some food of his own?
That's a good question. I don't know where he got the arm from. Maybe one of the horde of zombies took it from somebody else, and then that arm didn't, turn into wasn't zombified. So, he had something to munch on. That's the only thing I can answer you. But within this movie, TW, you even talked about it, Matt Hardy had some funny scenes. He jumped off a ventilator or an air vent. He kind of hurt his ankle, but then when the zombies came, he ran. He ran good. That was a funny.
Yeah, Matt Hardy. Yeah.
So, he did his best to fight off the zombies. Of course, he was unsuccessful. You was going to say something, TW?
I thought, because apparently I write movies better than whoever wrote this. When he jumped and hurt his leg and he ran, and then they showed him coming down that hallway dark, I thought he was going to get killed because someone thought he was a zombie because of the way he was dragging his leg. But no, just like a wrestler in AEW, he stopped selling the leg and just ran like it never was.
Well, that's adrenaline. Isn't that adrenaline? If I twisted my ankle with a horde of zombies, I don't care. I'm blocking out the pain. I got to run for my life. I don't want to become a zombie or whatever. But the funny thing, TW, within this movie, how bad this movie was, I think Cody Knotts, who was the producer, Reflectionites, of this movie, Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies, really relied on Roddy Piper, TW. This is just my humble opinion. I know you probably wasn't trying to pay attention to everything, especially the plot, the lines that were, but I think Cody Knotts was asked Roddy Piper, give me some They Live quotes that could be remembered here. I swear he was I think he was trying to ask Piper, could you give me one of those kind of memorable one-liners for my movie here, TW? Did you catch that, or did you care, or you didn't even notice it until I said it?
I did not notice it, and if I did notice it, it was subconsciously probably thinking he's just recycling lines.
Yeah, he was recycling They Live lines and tried to adapt them to this, for this movie, for the zombie apocalypse, if you will. So long story short, all the wrestlers die, Reflectionites. So, Hacksaw dies, the indie wrestlers die. Taya Parker eventually dies because of Shane Douglas. Again, Shane Douglas is the heel of this movie. So by the time they get there, there's only 3 people left. Roddy Piper, his girlfriend, played by Adrian Fisher, and of course, Shane Douglas. So they somehow, TW, all these 3 managed to get outside this penitentiary. And then, of course, the horde of zombies turned into from 100 to 200. So neither here nor there. But again, poignant moment number 2, Reflectionites, and I'm trying to be, I don't know if I'm sarcastic, but I'm trying to be serious here, was Shane Douglas was trying to fight off the zombies, and there is that poignant scene where Shane Douglas is happy to kill his sister-in-law. He's begrudgingly has to kill his brother, but then his little nephew, the number 1 Shane Douglas fan, wearing the Triple Threat franchise T-shirt, comes as a zombie, and Shane Douglas puts him in a sleeper hole and breaks his neck, and it just took him out. TW, it took his spirits out. What say you, TW? That was the most poignant scene in Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies, when Shane Douglas has got to choke out his nephew, his favorite nephew.
This is the inconsistency of the movie. In 1 hour-and-a-half movie, Shane Douglas turned face heel more than Lex Luger did in his entire career. He's getting up there with Randy Orton
or Big Show.
Yeah, or Big Show. Come on. Don't try to make these guys cry on camera. Nobody gives a shit. We never even seen his nephew. Do you remember the scene where his nephew walks in and sees his mom being eaten and his dad is already a zombie?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next scene is the sky, but you hear a car is driving really, really fast. And as it pans down, Star Wars style, I'm thinking it's going to be the little kid driving a car that he doesn't know how to drive to try to catch his uncle,
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's them on the fucking bus, and it's the next day because Shane just got through leaving saying, I'll be there tomorrow. You better have my money. And then he gets on the bus.
Did you see the time? He leaves he says to his nephew, take care of the house for me. And within 2 minutes, I'll give you 2 minutes, everybody in Shane's family is dead.
Right. That's why I thought it was a different house. I thought he took him to Shane's house just to make him watch his house and told the mom he was going to the wrestling show. And then he goes in there, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's the same house? I'm like, they've been gone 2 minutes.
not on 2 minutes, it just made no, there's so many plot holes. But again, it's poignant that Shane Douglas, his, the spirit is dead with him, that he had to choke out his nephew and break his neck. And he couldn't take it no more. He had to fight Angus off one more time. It was that main event between Shane Douglas, Angus, and a horde of zombies. And of course, Shane Douglas comes up short. The numbers was just too much. But the funny thing was Angus got the revenge on Shane Douglas. He didn't bite him. He choked him out. He choked him out with a belt or some kind of
made him
strap.
drool. Made him drool. It was a chain, wasn't it? And he made him drool just like his brother did.
Yeah, so it was apropos. It was karma, as you said, in the beginning.
I thought he was going to make the Hogan comeback, and so when he never came back, and then there's loophole number 5, or plot hole. Every single person, including Angle, including Matt Hardy, Rebby, every one of them, that dude that looks like Mercury, every one of them, when they finally get overrun, they get eaten.
Right.
When Shane Douglas is on the ground, when that girl's on the ground, when Roddy Piper's on the ground, they're still army crawling, and they're just punching and kicking them instead of eating them. Were they full? And now they just want to whoop their ass? Is what's happening here. I was waiting for a backdrop. I was waiting for some kind of suplex or something besides angles. It's just, it was so brutal. And why? They're all in that room. And Shane's like, you think these shaky little clowns I'm too much for the franchise. And then he ran. And then they're running after him. And then there's a whole new group of zombies that chase after Piper and the girl. And
that's why I'm saying that's the plot hole for me, is like the growing number of zombies that I couldn't even find. I can understand Shane Douglas.
And then he asked for more power. Remember, he asked for more power? Dead soldiers came up out of the ground?
Yes. He asked his brother for more power. And of course, to get more power, he had to sacrifice another female and eat her heart. So there was 2 women leading zombies with no hearts. And then the main event, if you will, is Roddy Piper and his girlfriend against the female zombies, where they find out that if you kill the female zombies, then every other zombie falls and dies, and there's no more zombie apocalypse. So it is funny, TW. Even though Roddy Piper's girl gets bitten, it doesn't last that long. She doesn't turn because Roddy Piper kills off the leading zombies, kills off Angus, and everybody lives happily ever after. And then the sun mysteriously just comes up at the right time. And that is
like
Pro Wrestlers. And that is Pro Wrestlers.
And the Spider-Man Far From Home.
I'll give you Spider-Man Far From Home, but I'm just like, and that is the plot line, and that is the movie Reflectionites for Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. I kid you not. It was an hour and 30 minutes of your life that I saved from you. That's what it is. I saved you, Reflectionites. Well, I'm sorry, TW. I wasted your 90 minutes of your life.
So at least say we saved them. You take all the credit.
Yes, we saved them. We do a public service for the Reflectionites. So what say you, TW? Any final closing thoughts about this horrendous movie? Number one, like I said, for me, I apologize, Hulk Hogan. Santa with Muscles is better than this movie. Mr. Nanny is better than this movie. Anything you've done.
Neither of those movies, and I still would agree with you.
There you go. But anyway, TW, closing thoughts of this movie. Anything you want to add to this, and then we'll get out of here.
Apropos moment. Okay. Is when Roddy Piper, it wasn't him that killed those 2 women. It was the chick that killed the 2 women. And then when he killed Angus, who was terribly selling, getting beaten with his own cane. But while he was getting beaten with his own cane, somehow they saw in the clouds that his brother was also taking an ass whooping. So they kept doing it until they both exploded. But Piper, before the final scene, when he army crawled out from underneath those guys, and then she distracted him and said, hey, assholes over here, and somehow didn't get eaten or raped. Piper's knocked out. Can't even save her because he's getting his ass whooped. When he finally hits that dude into the pole that I thought he was going to backdrop him, there's a full frame shot of him, and he goes, this is bullshit. And I can't help but think that was a blooper that they put in the movie because he probably really called out that movie for being bullshit on the set.
Absolutely. And probably that was the line that Cody Knotts said, I got my one-liner, even though it wasn't the one-liner I was looking for. So that's what I'm trying to say. He was begging Roddy Piper to give him a one-liner for this.
Oh,
horrendous.
the best one-liner he had. I can't believe you didn't say it. When he locks in Dennis Rodman's twin brother into the freezer, he locks it with a fucking pencil. And I'm thinking, how the fuck is that pencil not going to get broken in half? Then he looks over his shoulder and he goes, that's the first time I ever had the pencil. Do you know what that's a reference to?
Booking.
Yes. And I did pop for that.
See, there you go. But only hardcore wrestling fans get that one-liner, TW. Nobody would understand. But I guess it wouldn't be, you know what? The one-liner doesn't matter. That's a nice vintage Vince McMahon announcing a action figure. But TW, especially that pencil locks in zombie Thomas Robin. And one little number 2 pencil. Give me a fucking break. And with that being said, Reflectionites, we close on this PWR at the movies here at the PWR Networks at piledriver.com. Again, like I said, we were not going to stretch this. We were not going to do 2 hours. We're not going to do 2.5 hours. We gave you at least close to an hour, and I'm happy with that. So neither here nor there. So TW, give out those socials so we can get out of here.
Alrighty. The Pro Wrestling Coalition Network, they are at PWC Network at podbean.com. We are at PW Reflection on Twitter. I am at Twitter at TommyWonder19 and at the Tommy Wonder on Twitter. Our good man, Big Ray Hernandez. He's at Big Ray Hernandez on the Twitter. We can't do any of this without him. I did set him up with a guest for his show on the Weird Al Yankovic. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Ridiculously random podcast. Shout outs to them.
Yeah. Then we have Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder. Snapchat is just number Wonder. Big Vito Brand at Wixsite.com. Also Patreon.com/the Big Vito Brand. Dum Dum Duo and an Idiot is YouTube for me, Matt and Stacy. And then at the Tommy Wonder at TikTok, I have been posting on there. I put a backyard wrestling promo that I did way back in 1990. It hit 13,300 views and stalled. So if we can hit 13,312 and get the 30 dozen on there on my TikTok, that would be glorious.
Not me being glorious, Reflection. That's his TikTok being glorious. Again, I'm sorry, TW. I will never be on TikTok. I'm not going to do TikTok. Just send me the link and I'll watch it.
Aren't you gonna quit Twitter though because of Elon Musk?
No, I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm still on Twitter till the day I die. I got a Getter, but that whatever that other
is that like Grindr?
No, that's Trump's other one. That's Trump's.
True Social.
No,
what is Getter?
That was the Republican, the conservative Twitter.
Oh, there's Parler, and then there's True Social, which is Trump's.
I lose pop.
You mixed up Grindr. I think you were about to say Grindr and went oops.
No. I also have a Rumble account. See,
I watch Rumble every day, man. I love Rumble. Rumble cracks me up.
There you go. But you can find me on my Twitter. I ain't never leaving Twitter at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOProf. And of course, hopefully this will be on the YouTubes at the PWSO Networks. Follow my brothers in arms.
You should put it on Rumble.
I'm trying to get a PWS Rumble account, but we're working on things. But anyway,
yeah.
Follow my guy, the king of the reactions, 8-Track Brown at 8Track-Day, and of course, he was shredding the documents. But my man Billy Ray Valentine has all the documents at Obi-Wan. You know me. And TW for next week, I have an epiphany. We haven't done a rivalries edition. You even said that before we did the show, and it's apropos. Well, we haven't done this rivalry. We should have done this rivalry, and we've never did it. Roddy Piper versus Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Funny you say that. There's a coconut in the sink, and he hits a zombie over the head with the coconut. Very, very.
That was the scene that hit the professor on the noggin, saying we haven't done a rivalries edition. So next week we're going to do a rivalries Piper Snuka. Long overdue here on the PWSO Networks at podbean.com. And for that, I'm the professor. That's Dum Dum Duo, and it is on the Iron Stomach one, Dr. Freaking Stein, Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we will see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the PWR Sun Networks at podbean.com. Peace.
Dig it.
No zombie ever says dig it. Jesus.
Yeah, take the body out.
Okay, well, there you go. That's at least something.
All righty, man. Get to your NBA playoffs. I can't see anyway, so.
All right. Did it stop
send me
recording?
some Pipers. No, it's still recording.